Welcome to the Rotary Time Show, a public service program presented by Rotary District 7610. Funding for this program is made possible by the generosity of Rotary District 7610, Virginia. On our programs, we talk with Rotarians and community leaders and discuss how Rotary International builds partnerships to support local, national, and world communities. I am your host, Rotarian Dr. Deborah Jackson from the Rotary Club of McLean, Virginia. The success of a Rotary Club is dependent on the club president. They lead, inspire, motivate, and connect their clubs with communities and others here and around the world. Joining me remotely is Rotarian Don Owens, who is the president of the Rotary Club of Herndon, Virginia, for the 2021-22 Rotary year. Welcome, President Don, to the Rotary Time Show.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
it's good to be here.
Yeah, we're excited to have you here today. I know how active the Herndon Club is in the Northern Virginia region, and we're just excited to learn more about you and what your club is engaged in this year under your leadership. So if you don't mind, we're going to go ahead and get started.
That sounds good.
Good. We like to start by having our presidents just give us a little bit about your background, your life before Rotary.
Life before Rotary. I was involved in an insurance business when our accountant was recruiting me for Rotary. My wife and I have had an insurance agency since 1981. And before that, I was a high school math teacher. I'm a graduate from James Madison University, and I grew up in the Shenandoah Valley of Virginia. So it took you chronologically backwards there, but during the years of early years of insurance and being self-employed, we got to work half days, any 12 to 14 hours in the day we could pick, you know. Yeah. So our accountant, Tom, kept recruiting me, telling me this great organization called Rotary to join. And I kept putting him off because they had a 7:30 a.m. meeting, and we would go in the office at 7:30 and start working. But after 15 years in the business, Tom convinced me to join. But that's how it led up to me becoming a Rotarian. I have a bachelor's degree in secondary education and a master's in business administration from Avery University.
Good to hear. In fact, you struck a chord. You're a man after my own heart as a fellow colleague of yours, as a former high school teacher myself. So I do understand your journey. Yeah. Let's talk about the Herndon Club and learn a little bit more about it. Tell us about the club. Well, how many members you have, you know, the diversity of your membership. Talk to us about your club.
Certainly. The club started in June of 1939 and has been very significant. We have a great foundation to build on. They were so significant in those early days. They provided the instruments for the high school band in the early days, and since then there's been many projects. But the club grew quite a bit. They stayed at a medium-sized to small size for many years until a gentleman named Bert Lampkin came along, and he's a past governor, district governor, and the only governor we've had from our club. And he introduced us to international projects. And I think when he did that in the late 90s, early 2000s, it broadened our perspective for diversity and so forth. Plus, we had some of the earliest women join Rotary when the institution switched over to open up for women. Pat Williams and some of the others were some of the originals who came over. So that's great. I feel like we have a great deal of diversity. The club, well, we'll get into it more later. We'll talk about COVID and so forth, but that's certainly just diminished what we've been able to do, because this is the way we've been meeting for 2 years.
Wow. Okay. So. Yeah. So it sounds like you've been around more than you've already had your 50-year celebration, and you get ready to celebrate another milestone. So congratulations to you. Your club service programs, what do they look like? Do you host speakers weekly? What are some of your programs that are, unique to your club?
Well, it's interesting to talk about in this day and age. We wouldn't have had this same unveiling 3 years ago, but COVID drove us to the Zoom meetings, and we've had absolutely incredible opportunities for speakers. We had a district governor from South Africa join us one day. We've had 3 projects in South Africa over the last 20 years, and Peter Wilmot, another member of ours, and I got to go to South Africa and meet with them, the district governor and the club. And we invited him one morning at 7:30 here. It was his lunchtime. So the club services, why did I bring that in? Club services is part of putting those speakers together. We've had speakers from all over the country, and of course, South Africa is the furthest away we've had, but it's been fantastic. We had a gentleman not long ago call in from Long Island, New York. He was an author. One of his books has been turned into a currently popular movie. And on a whim, he picked up the phone and he joined our 20-person meeting.
Yeah, wow, yeah. Nice.
But club services has been terrific in that finding speakers is up to the club, to the team that runs things for each month. So we go by a team system. It's anywhere from 3 to 5 people for a team, and they're responsible for the administrative things for each of the weekly meetings, including getting a speaker. And it makes it fresh. We don't have just 1 or 2 people getting speakers. And it also is great for camaraderie. If you have to check people in and you've got to do all the things to facilitate everyone, it's a nice way to bond and to reintroduce yourself to members as they come in. So the team system and club services, that's one of the key things I think that helps with the bonding of our group.
Not only that, it allows every one of your members to take on an active role. They're not just coming, and sitting, and they are taking an active role in the club and the club's function. So it's a great way to do that. I like that team aspect of it. Well, that's why they call it team, right?
Exactly, yes.
How has it changed since COVID? You mentioned a little bit ago you've had some changes as a result of that.
Well, the fundraising was something we always would put some focus on. I mean, the charities are there, and we just usually don't have enough to spread around. So the fundraising of 2 or 3 major fundraisers a year have just dried up because of COVID. I mean, just for obvious reasons. But the group has shifted nicely. We did have some nice reserves. We were able to keep our promises, like for scholarships, and we have something that we support called the Dolly Parton Imagination Library, and we provide a book for children in Herndon from birth to age 5. Every month they get a book from us, and there's no charge.
Wonderful.
And so Dolly Parton had a great passion for literacy, and she started her foundation, and then we've tapped in, and we spend probably about $3,000 a month providing books to all the children whose parents signed them up, and it regardless of need. If a parent signs up a child that's under 5, we send them a book. And that we've been very proud of, we've been able to maintain that through grants and other fundraising. So that I elaborate here because one of the major things we do in our community has been able to be sustained, even though we have not had our regular fundraising.
Right. And that's one of those areas, literacy is also one of the areas of focus for Rotary International. So partnering with your community to be able to support, your local community in that area.
Let me put a plug in. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but a plug in. The state legislature has passed a law or a bill that said they would fund half of these Dolly Parton projects. And it's down in Richmond. I think it's waiting for the governor to sign. So it's a nice platform for me to talk. If anyone hears about this, Dolly Parton's program's been going on for about 20 years, and it's fantastic. And it made it all the way to the state legislature saying this is so good for our education system that we should consider funding it. So
Well, good,
keep our
good to
fingers
hear.
crossed.
And I'm
Plug it in.
sure others have, especially in the education sector, are listening and will follow up on seeing, how they can benefit, if you will, from that particular funding. So thank you for sharing that with us. Community service. Talk to us about some of your community service initiatives. I know you just talked about the schools, and that's one, but do you have others?
Well, we've had many over the years. We helped start a free clinic where children who couldn't afford to pay for their physicals to go to school, we helped set up a free clinic in our town many years ago. But that's evolved and it's transformed into another organization larger than us, and that's part of what we've done over the years has been the catalyst for things.
Gotcha.
You know, we don't have the size and the depth and the people power to run stuff, but we can help good organizations get off the ground, and that's what we've done. Like the high school band is, doing quite well now. We do still contribute, but they're on their own. And the free clinic did so well that a larger organization grabbed them. But that's history. And currently, we've got some wonderful folks who have found needs like the children on reduced lunches at a local elementary school. We partnered with the administration and provided gifts this past holiday season.
Wonderful.
So we found individuals and donors and sponsors to fulfill a wish list for children last holiday season. And it wasn't based on a big fundraiser. We didn't have to raise $10,000 or $20,000. Individuals came out of their pockets and went to the store. And then we had a big gift wrapping and we delivered the gifts to the children in their homes.
Wow.
So that's been good. We have a bike-a-thon coming up where children are going to be biking a few miles, not a great deal, on a hike and bike trail. And they're going to go with sponsors, and the distance they cover gives them a certain amount of donations. And those donations are going towards school supplies for an organization called Kids Are First. Right. That buys the child a backpack and then the school supplies for families in need.
Yeah, that's great.
We have other things. We have a trail cleanup, but it's a good list. And that's
it's a good list. Sounds like it. But I'm going to put a pause in it for just a second because we're going to come back to you. But right now we're going to take a short break and be right back and talk more with President Don Owens from the Rotary Club of Herndon, Virginia.
We've been here before, fighting the problems that fight back, because we see opportunities where others see obstacles. We're change makers and problem solvers, uniting over 1 million minds to address complex issues facing communities around the world, including yours. We're working together as partners and professionals while making friendships that last a lifetime. We're Rotary, and there's no limit to what we can do.
Welcome back to the Rotary Times. We're here talking with Rotarian Don Owens, the president of the Rotary Club of Herndon, Virginia, for the 2021-22 Rotary year. President Owens, we left when you were sharing with us about some of your activities, community service activities in the community. Are there any particular ones that have started under your tenure?
Well, the presents given last fall, in the wintertime, that was done under my watch, but I was contributed 0.5% there. It was our satellite club that came up with the idea and ran with the whole thing. And then our combination of memberships of all of our members contributed one way or another. But that project started this year, so for the first time. The satellite club also decided during the pandemic to focus on the food bank that we have in Herndon. And one Saturday a month, Rotarians man a booth at local art center downtown Herndon, and we broadcasted on social media to drop by foods for the food bank, cash or actual groceries and supplies are accepted. So those things are nice, and there's no cost to it. There's just people's time.
Right.
And it was came under my watch. I take no credit at all. It's just Rotarians being Rotarians in the club, service above self. But during this year, we did become part of another international project.
Okay. And that's where I was headed to. Talk to us about your international project.
Well, we had 3 overall in South Africa. We've been part of the Clean Water Project since it got started with many other clubs. I don't know how many wells have been dug. We've had 2 projects in Haiti over the years. Nothing active right now except for the water projects. But in South Africa, we helped be a catalyst for training teachers for literacy for preschoolers and early elementary. And so again, it's the same area we've helped before with sanitation projects and some other things. But we're training the trainers. We're training people to be good preschool teachers for literacy. We're really excited. That took off in no time. We had a small contribution, and for those who are not really familiar with the grant system in Rotary, it was fantastic. I know it was under $5,000 that we contributed. And by the time we stacked matching grants and other clubs' interest and districts, it was well over $60,000, I believe.
Nice.
Came together. But we had a connection in South Africa, and once you start that bond in Rotary, it's magic happens. There's somebody down there with boots on the ground, and they see a need, and then they find a partner like us, and then we put it out there to the universe, and other people partner up with us. So we're really, that happened in the past year. It happened very quickly, and that was quite proud of it. But that's our international committee. Again, I don't deserve any credit for that. Our guys are terrific at writing the grant proposal stuff and finding the need.
That's good. It's great. Glad to hear that. Again, I know you must be proud as a former educator. Well, once an educator, you're never a former educator. You're always an educator.
We're all in teaching mode all the time.
Yes, all the time.
Ask my children. My adult children are fed up with me.
Well, mine too. I understand. Your family, and you just mentioned your family. How does your family support you in Rotary?
Very, very supportive. My wife's been very active in civic organizations over the years, so there was always a lot of support. At times we did things together, but always understanding and supportive. It's a terrific thing to give back. And plus, my wife and I have been business partners for 40 years as well. So it was all in sync. I've not had any hurdles there with family, because you come home and you say you help collect food for the food bank. It's hard to get a lot of grief over that.
Talk about membership. We know that the district, the #1 priority right now is membership. How's that going for you? Are you finding